When they stop talking to you, they start talking about themselves. And that's when everything starts to fall apart for them. You've felt it before, the silence. Someone pulls away, stops reaching out, stops speaking. It stings, but here's the thing. It's not your loss, it's theirs. When they stop talking to you, they stop growing, they stop learning. They shut themselves off from the very things that could save them. The truth, the growth, the connection. And that silence, it's the beginning of their downfall. The moment they stop engaging with you, they stop engaging with life itself. You've probably had this experience before. Someone close to you, a friend, a partner, or even a colleague, suddenly pulls away. The conversations become fewer, the replies shorter, and eventually, you're left wondering what went wrong. It's confusing, painful, and can leave you questioning yourself. But the truth is, you're not alone in this. We've all been there. Whether it's a relationship that starts strong but fizzles out due to miscommunication, or a friendship that slowly fades because of unspoken tension, the experience of abandonment or emotional distance is universal. It's a heavy burden to carry when you feel like someone is pulling away from you for no reason at all. You feel isolated, rejected, even betrayed. But here's the catch. When someone stops talking to you, it's not just a matter of losing them. It's a reflection of something much deeper happening in their own world. People don't just stop talking to you out of the blue. There's a deeper emotional distance at play, something they've chosen, often unconsciously, to avoid confronting. Think about the last time someone shut you out. What happened in their life around that time? Maybe they were struggling with their own fears or insecurities. Perhaps they were overwhelmed by life's pressures and couldn't bear to confront the discomfort of being honest with you. Maybe, just maybe, they didn't have the emotional tools to deal with you or with themselves. People who stop communicating with you often feel trapped in their own world. The silence they impose is not just a barrier to you. It's their way of avoiding the discomfort of confronting whatever is really going on in their own lives. Let's be clear. When someone pulls away, it's not because they are indifferent, it's because they are emotionally overwhelmed. They might say they need space, but the truth is, they need something much deeper. They need to confront their own fears, insecurities, and unresolved issues. You may feel like you're left in the dark, wondering what happened, but that person is facing their own storm. They might not be able to admit it, but the emotional distance they've created is a way of avoiding the hard conversations they don't know how to have. And in the process, they're cutting themselves off from growth, connection, and ultimately, their own progress. Now think for a moment. Have you ever been the one to pull away from someone? Not because you didn't care, but because you didn't know how to deal with the discomfort or the mess that was unfolding in that relationship. It's easy to point fingers when someone else stops talking to you. But what about the times when you've distanced yourself from someone else? Why did you do it? Was it because you were uncomfortable with what the relationship was demanding from you? Or were you avoiding something within yourself? Something you didn't want to face? When we stop talking to others, we're often trying to avoid confrontation, to shield ourselves from facing uncomfortable truths. But in the process, we're also shutting ourselves off from growth. The silence we impose is a protective barrier, but it's also a cage. Ask yourself, what happens when you avoid those tough conversations? When you let the silence linger and refuse to open up? Does it get better with time, or does it fester, grow, and make everything harder to deal with? The uncomfortable truth is that when you pull away, you stunt your own growth. It might feel easier in the moment, but it's a temporary escape. And eventually, the silence you've created becomes a loud, persistent echo that forces you to confront the very thing you were trying to avoid. What does it cost you to remain silent? You lose clarity, connection, and the chance to grow from difficult conversations. You choose comfort over progress. And in doing so, you trap yourself in a cycle of emotional stagnation. And for the person who's been left in the silence, the questions are just as important. What have you learned from this experience? What does it say about your own ability to confront challenges, to hold space for uncomfortable emotions, and to keep moving forward even when things get tough? Ultimately, when someone stops talking to you, it's not just about what they're avoiding, it's about what you're learning. These moments of emotional distance are opportunities for self-reflection. They challenge you to look deeper, to question your own behaviors, and to ask yourself whether you're truly ready to engage with the hard truths of your own life. Here's a piece of advice that might sound counterintuitive, but bear with me. When they stop talking to you, don't chase them. Yes, you heard that right, don't chase. The common narrative is that when someone pulls away, we should chase after them, fight for their attention, try harder to reconnect. We've been told that if we love someone, if we care enough, we'll keep reaching out, keep texting, keep calling, keep trying to fix things. But what if I told you that the best way to respond when they stop talking is to let them be? To allow the silence to unfold as it naturally will, and trust that the distance they've created will work itself out, or it won't, and that's okay. Chasing someone who has chosen emotional distance doesn't help them. It only reinforces their choice to disengage. It feeds into their fears, their insecurities, and their need for control over the situation. The more you chase, the more they'll retreat, because you're confirming for them that they don't need to face whatever is going on within themselves. You're providing an escape from the discomfort they're avoiding. So, what should you do instead? Let the silence be their mirror. Instead of chasing, take this time to focus on yourself. Look inward and ask yourself what this situation is teaching you about your own boundaries, your own needs, and your own ability to stand firm in the face of emotional distance. This moment is not just about them, it's about you too. Here's the hard truth. When they stop talking to you, you have a choice. You can chase them and diminish your own sense of self-respect, or you can let them go and build the resilience you need to thrive, regardless of what happens next. It's not easy, and it might sting for a while, but this is where true growth happens. Real growth doesn't come from clinging to something that's fading. It comes from letting go and finding your own footing. This unconventional advice isn't about encouraging you to give up on relationships, but rather about shifting your focus. Rather than desperately holding on to someone who's pulling away, turn the focus back on yourself. And here's the twist. The less you chase, the more likely they'll return to the conversation on their own terms. People tend to value what they can't easily have. The moment you stop chasing, you regain your power, your emotional control, and your peace of mind. And that's incredibly attractive. There's a quote that has always stuck with me. The greatest act of love you can give someone is to let them be who they are. This speaks volumes about how we handle emotional distance, whether we're the ones distancing ourselves or on the receiving end of it. Sometimes we get so caught up in trying to fix, to reach, to reconcile that we forget this simple truth. You can't force growth. You can't force someone to change, to open up, or to come back. All you can do is give them the space to be themselves, whether that's with you or without you. Another powerful quote comes from Eckhart Tolle, who said, "The past has no power over the present moment." When someone stops talking to you, there's a temptation to ruminate on what happened, to blame yourself or them, to replay the last few conversations over and over. But the past is gone. The only thing that matters is the present. The choice you make right now to either hold on to the past or step forward into the future. Think about the words of Rainer Maria Rilke. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. This is a reminder that emotional pain and distance are not permanent. Feelings pass. People change. What feels like an insurmountable loss now will eventually fade, leaving you with the wisdom of the experience and possibly an even stronger connection when the time is right. These quotes are more than just words. They're reminders of the truths that we often forget when we're stuck in the emotional turmoil of abandonment. When people stop talking to us, we often make the mistake of thinking it's a final, irreversible act. But the truth is, silence is temporary. It's a phase, a moment of discomfort that forces us to reflect, to grow, and to make better choices in the future. The silence they impose on you is their own struggle, not yours. And by accepting this, you reclaim your power. You stop taking their behavior personally. You let go of the need to control their actions. And instead, you embrace the freedom to live your own life, independent of their choices. In the end, the people who stop talking to you might never understand the impact of their silence. But you have the power to turn this experience into something meaningful. As Viktor Frankl famously said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. This moment of abandonment can become a catalyst for your personal growth, if you allow it. Now that you've heard the truth, it's time to take action. What are you going to do with this information? The next time someone stops talking to you, don't react out of desperation. Don't chase them. Don't beg them to come back. Instead, reflect. Take this moment as an opportunity to check in with yourself. Ask yourself what this situation is teaching you. Ask yourself whether you're ready to stand in your own power and move forward no matter what. Silence isn't a sentence. It's a chance. It's a chance for you to grow stronger, more resilient, and more self-aware. So ask yourself, what will you do with the space they've created? Will you waste it wallowing in self-pity? Or will you fill it with your own growth, with new opportunities, and with the love you deserve, whether they're part of your life or not? I want you to remember this. The most powerful thing you can do when someone stops talking to you is to focus on yourself. Find your voice again. Do the things that bring you peace, joy, and fulfillment. Whether that's working on your personal goals, deepening your self-awareness, or simply surrounding yourself with the people who genuinely care about you, take this time to invest in your own growth. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the ability to move on without waiting for someone else to change. Don't give your power away to someone else's silence. Own it. Embrace the freedom to grow, to learn, and to become the best version of yourself. If this message resonates with you, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful insights like these, and make sure you never miss out on the wisdom that could change your life. And lastly, remember this. You're not waiting on anyone else to change your life. You are the one who holds the power to make the change. So go out there and start today.